Okay, so on this problem, or the one that's similar to yours, and the homework, it helps to think about this stuff as points. So basically, how many points do you have and how many points are you trying to get? This one, they say, what's the lowest she could have got on the first exam? But in general, too, we could also think of this as maybe there's an exam that hasn't happened yet. What's the lowest you could get on that and still get a 93? The tense doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the test was first or last. It's still, you're adding up the total number of points. Okay, so her overall average is 93%. Her average is based on 4 exams worth 100 points, each worth 100 points, and a final worth 200. So there's an exam, an exam, an exam, an exam, and then the final is essentially worth 2 exams. And I could put one bigger, like 200 point thing, but let's just say, we'll just make it, so we'll say it's 2 exams, so worth 200 points. So that means there's 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600 total points right now in the class. All right, so having an average of 93, it doesn't mean that this happened, but it does mean that you'd have the same number of points as if it did. So let's say you just got a 93 on everything. That would definitely make your average 93. So that's probably not what happened, but it doesn't make a difference in terms of the points. You can say, well, if I got a 93 on 6 different things, how many points do I have? Or you could say, if I have a 93% out of 600 points, how many points do I have? So what is 93%? Of a total of 600 possible points? Or if you think of it as being all the separate tests, actually I wrote 6,000, sorry. 0.93 times 600. Or if you think as being you got 93 on 6 different tests. I'm calling it 6 different because the final essentially is made out of 2 tests. So either way, you have 558 points right now. Okay, so then when they say, what's the lowest she could have got on the first exam? So what's the lowest you could get on the first exam and still have 558 points? Because we're not changing the average, right? She has a 93. They're saying, so theoretically, we don't know if you got a 93 on everything. What's the lowest you could have got on the first one? Well, just logically, and we could take this out of it, but just thinking of something, if I'm trying to get this one to be as low as possible, it would help the average if all these ones were as high as possible. So let's just say, what if she got 100 on everything else except for the first one? So that'd be 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 points. So to have 558, she would need what? 58 points on this one? And so also if you were trying to frame this as being like a last test, you could say, well, what if I have 558 points as my goal to get a 93 because the whole class is out of 600. If I have 500 points right now, I'm 58 points away from my goal. So regardless of which way they frame that question, it's still the same idea, is how many total points are there? How many points do you have right now? And so to have a 93, you need 558 out of 600. So you could have, at the lowest, have a 58 here if you got perfect on everything else. Assuming there's no extra credit, or extra credit question on exams. If there was, they would have had to say it in the questions. They're not trying to like specifically trick you. So the lowest possible score she could have got on the first exam would be 58%, assuming that she got 100 on everything else.